why don't I start sharing my slides and then and talking about it, and then we can move on. So thank you everybody for joining. We're very excited to have Jean Ann with us today. So I'm Marissa Marquez. I'm the president of the AMWA chapter at UAB. And it's wonderful to have great colleagues to invite to give these presentations. And the Zoom platform allows us to join from multiple buildings, which is really nice, even different campuses. So let me share with you something real quickly about a mentorship program that the students, the AMWA leadership at the medical school, Nikki Panzica, who is joining us today as the president, have asked to that we help arrange mentors for our women medical students, for them to semi-informally shadow us to see what we do in our various specialties. So we've had several people volunteer, and I want to give them to recognize them for that. So let me share my screen. Actually, do you see one slide?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So this first slide has a list of all the physicians in these various departments that have volunteered. Turns out that the students requested to shadow in OBGYN, anesthesiology, pediatric neurology, and so on. And all these wonderful colleagues agreed to do it, to do it. So I saw Ksenia Blinikova is attending today. We're very excited. She already accepted 2 students to mentor her in family medicine. For those of you that are watching today, we still need several people for other students in derm, in IM, pediatrics, ophthalmology, and oncology. So I've sent several emails, but if you know of anybody that's willing to do it, just send me an email and I'll send you to Nikki and Camille. Also want to remind you that last week, February 3rd, was Women Physicians Day. And that was the birthday, to celebrate the birthday of the first female U.S. physician, Elizabeth Blackwell, who is our leader. So one of our residents in pathology, and I'll send all these slides to Jessica so everybody will have access, put all these links together, and there's a lot of good information in them if you want to read. One of them is from the AMA. So there are 3 slides here. It'll be quick. So here is Elizabeth Blackwell was the first woman to become a physician in 1849. In 1864, Rebecca Lee Crampler became the first Black American woman to earn a medical degree. Now, 1876, Sarah Stevenson, first woman to join the AMA. 1969, the first AMA vice president, so many, many years later. But 98 was the first female AMA board chair, who then became first female president. So only about 24 years ago, Nancy Dickey. 2008, another AMA president woman. 2000 and I think that's 13. Artis D. Hoven becomes the 168th president of the AMA, and in 2015 she was elected the first female chair of the World Medical Association. Barbara McKenney became president of AMA in 2018, and just a couple of years ago, Patrice Harris, a psychiatrist from Atlanta, is the first African-American woman to be elected to the office. So she was an AMA president-elect. So just a few facts from the AMA website. Female physicians make up to 36% of the workforce, compared with 6% many years ago. Black and Hispanic women currently make up about almost 13% of the physician workforce, a number that's steadily growing. And the AMA Women Physicians section represents more than 82,000 female physicians and medical students. With that, I want to thank Jean Ann to be here. She's going to talk to us about a program called Momentum, but also other opportunities for us to become leaders at UAB. So let me tell you very briefly about Jean Ann. She has a long story, a lot of credentials, but we don't want to take time from her. She's our Chief Leadership Development Officer. She's also Senior Associate Dean for Leadership Development, School of Medicine Leadership Development Office. She's only been here for less than 6 years. She came in 2016 to provide expertise and resources to leaders to ensure their success and the sustainable success for all of UAB medicine. So she's worked with all of our chairs. She and her team ensure that our leaders have the mindset and skills to lead their teams and the organization to the future, as well as ensuring that UAB develops a strong pipeline of leaders, which is why she's here today, to help all of us to be leaders. Before coming to UAB, she had a boutique leadership development consultancy in the Dallas area. She had a long career in healthcare. She was a senior executive at Children's Medical Center in Dallas and Beaumont Health in Michigan, where she founded an award-winning corporate university and served as a founding chief learning officer. She's from Kansas. She went to Wichita State University. She has a BS in engineering, an MBA. She also has a PhD in organizational change and leadership. In addition to her educational degrees, she holds multiple certifications in assessments, courses, and coaching methodologies. So her husband's name is Robert Jaramillo. They have 2 adult daughters, Danielle and Natalie. And all I can say is that we have a lot of things to learn from Jean Ann, and we're very excited that she has accepted our invitation to speak today. Thank you so much, Jean Ann.
Thank you, Marissa, for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate it. I'm in the process of sharing my screen. There we go. And just want to make a shout out too. There's another person on the call I have with me. Hopefully you can see this now. My assistant, Bitsy Pitzing, and she's my backup. So if we have any kind of technical or Zoom issues, we'll be able to just pick it up and go with it. So, and the fact that she's here helping me will probably be fine.
That's great.
Murphy's Law of Zoom presentation. So I think we're ready to go. But again, thank you for that wonderful introduction. You know, we've already talked about this, so I'm going to move forward. But just a few words on the presentation. I'm going to start out by sharing some good news and some bad news. A touch on the Leadership Development Office, not much. Marissa, you did a great job of covering it. Also, before I get into Momentum, which is the reason that you've invited me here, which I appreciate, I'll talk about some other leadership development opportunities throughout the campus, and then maybe challenge all of us on this call, you know, in terms of all this information, kind of what can we do with it, and, you know, how might we, you know, take advantage of some of these opportunities, if not immediately down the road. But first of all, again, thank you. I think, Marissa, I spoke to AMWA, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago when I was relatively new, so it was delighted to be back. So I will allow ample time for questions at the end, but if you're like me and you have burning questions in the middle, you know, certainly we can stop and take those, and Mitt will be helping me kind of watch the chat, so I won't go too quickly. So before I get started, good news and bad news. Okay. What I found, I've been here since 2016. The good news, and this is not unusual probably at UAB given any topic, I found that when I looked across campus, you know, within the school, the health system, the university, we have a lot of opportunities for leadership development. It was just amazing. And I spent some time thinking about this and looking at it because I also knew, you know, I knew what Dean Vickers and what Dr. Freniani had for me in terms of a vision. I wanted to make sure not reinvent the wheel and find some gaps. So the good news is all that stuff is out there. And I'll share the tip of the iceberg with some of these things with you. The bad news that I found is I had to really go out and look for them. And a lot of people were not aware of them. They might have heard of one or two of them. They may have participated in one, but by far and away, just people were not aware of it. Or if they did know about it, they weren't sure if it applied to them. They didn't know who to call. They didn't really know how to participate. They didn't even know what the ideal audience was. So that's the bad news. I'm going to try to share some of this with you in the short period of time we have, but just take away, if nothing else, there are opportunities here. And I'm always welcome, and I would welcome any of you to reach out to me if you want to say, hey, Jean Ann, you talked about all this stuff. I'm not sure now where to go. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you, because what we take advantage of obviously depends on, you know, where we're at in our career and what our goals are. So good news and bad news is behind us. A little bit about the Leadership Development Office. We were founded in 2016, and I think the really intriguing part of this, and the reason I was really attracted to come here, is the senior most leaders at that time, and it hasn't changed since, were Dean Vickers and Dr. Will Ferniani, and they really felt strongly that in order to, you know, create sustainable success, and if you hear Dean Vickers talk, he talks about that a lot. One of the many things, or one of the things that we really need to do, is make sure that we're supporting our senior leaders and helping them become successful. And what we often find in large organizations is that we have quite a bit of programming, and you'll see that at UAB as well, for leaders at different levels, but senior leaders are often left to their own devices. They can go to professional societies, they can do all sorts of things, but there's not a systemic approach to it in the organization. So that's kind of why we did it. And our target audience when I started out was truly some of those senior most leaders. And the way I do it, or the way we do it, is we're trying to be very intentional, very targeted and strategic. There's a cliche that's often overused, but if you don't stay strategic in this field, it's all good stuff, and you can end up, you know, boiling the proverbial ocean and have less of an impact. So we're really trying to stay focused. So that's a little bit about us. Now, here is the tip of the iceberg. Yes.
And your slides are not progressing, and
Oh,
we just
no.
yeah. So I'm like, wait a minute, is she just giving an intro or?
No, I'm actually a bit way in, so I don't know why I'm progressing.
All we're seeing is it's like it's stuck. So
okay, is there a way you can try to share it, Mitt, and we'll try to go from there?
It's not in presentation mode yet.
It's not in presentation mode.
Oh wow! So of course, I'm
actually I thought you were still giving an introduction, so I wasn't sure.
No, I apologize. It's right in my computer, which does absolutely nothing for you all. I apologize.
You'll need to close out, Jean Ann, so I can open it.
Okay, I've just stopped. I will do that. Don't pay attention to the person behind the curtain. Yeah, so I've got the file shut. That is just crazy.
Yeah, I thought you were just kind of
winging it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
You're thinking, I'm sure she's got some slide there, but we're not seeing it. Yeah, if you can get in, Mitt, and bring it up, that's crazy.
Thanks, Jody, for pointing that out.
Yes, thank you. Don't let me, you know, get done and say, oh,
it's okay.
We couldn't see a single doggone slide. So
I'm just going to start from the beginning.
And while you're doing it, I'm looking at a question. So yeah, thank you, Jody. Regarding leadership development for non-clinical PhD women in the School of Medicine, there has not been much support to develop skills early in career. I'm going to share a couple of.
Can you switch, Mitze?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I go to display settings in the middle.
Yeah.
Right, and then switch.
He's going to get there.
I think it's at the top.
Yeah, it's not showing it. Hang on.
Huh,
yeah,
I see it.
Yeah, we see it. It's funny how we all see different things.
Yeah.
Hang on just a second.
Yeah, so to the person that asked the question, I'll touch on some of this, but we can talk about it more. Okay, I don't.
No, give me just a second because it's I'm on my double screen. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, double screen can be very tricky.
Yeah.
Don't know what anybody is saying.
It's wonderful when it works, not so much when it doesn't. So, and I think Mitzi, if and when you get in.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. Hang on.
We can go to slide 5 or 6, I think is where I lost people. Well, I lost my good luck charm. I was sure if I had a backup, we wouldn't have any problems. So much for that.
It's a really large file, so it just
Yeah,
takes.
yeah, it is. It is. And I compressed it too. I requested some information from the CEO of Momentum that I wanted to share with you all. And she's a photographer. And even with compressing her photos, compressing it literally down to like 1/5 the size, it's still pretty big. So that might be the challenge. So.
No, just give me a second. So here.
And there's also, if all else fails, there's a PDF in there as well. So I mean,
Getting it set up where I have it.
it's not pretty, but we could use a PDF. Okay,
Get it there.
we're seeing this looking
I
good.
can't see it, so.
You can't see it?
Yeah. We can.
Okay, and it shows
okay.
me slide view.
We see the cover. So see if
But
you
is it
can.
in present mode or?
Yes, it's in present mode and you're on slide number 1. If you could progress again. Okay, stop. There you go. Whoa. Oh, well. Okay, this is going to be,
That's
okay,
it.
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. This particular slide, and in the interest of time, just to give you an idea, this was sort of the first swath of programs that I became aware of that are available on campus or in some form of development. And there were a couple of programs that we invented, the Certificate in Healthcare Management, as well as the Healthcare Leadership Academy, or on the campus side, the Blaze Academy. Some of you may have participated in those. The first program I actually started with was the Leadership Development Series, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over. And the uniqueness about this particular program, it was geared towards senior leaders, and it was also geared towards senior leadership teams. In other words, the team goes through it together and they build those skill sets together. So we became involved in that one. And the reason for the stair steps, it's our best approximation with the help of human resources of kind of where in a person's career, if you will, as a manager or a leader, these programs might be appropriate. And again, it depends on the individual. You know, and I talk to them, the first thing I ask is, you know, what programs have you participated in? What have you done? Now, the one I'll spend a little bit of time talking about today is the Momentum in Medicine at UAB. Okay, Mitt, you can do a next slide, please.
It's going.
It's taken a while.
There it is.
Okay, perfect. So also across campus, I want to bring your attention to some other things, and we can also send these slides out. You know, you can certainly Google them even while I'm speaking. So on the campus side, there's a department called Organizational Learning and Development. It's headed and managed by the executive director, Susan Cohn, who I consider a very good colleague and a great friend. They offer a wide variety of not just managerial and leadership topics, but professional development, whether it's learning to make presentations, whether it's communications, whatever. And a good number of their programming, especially since the pandemic, it's available via Zoom. So it's very accessible. They also have manuals, they have guidebooks on a variety of topics. And again, as long as we're associated with the university, we have a Blazer ID, we can actually access it. Within their page is an incredible resource called LinkedIn Learning. I use it myself. Mitzi knows I recommend it to chairs. I recommend it to senior executives. It's this amazing resource that we have through UAB. Once again, we have our Blazer ID, but you can literally go in there, and I'll show you a couple of screenshots later. Whatever topic you're interested in, oh gosh, I have to have a difficult conversation. You can literally go in there, do a search, and see everything from a quick article, a quick video clip. Oh, gee, I want to sign up for a class. So it's really dependent upon how much time you need or how you have, and it's on demand. So heaven forbid you're, up late at night worrying about something and you want to learn something about it, you can get access to it. As many of you are also aware, there's several, again, the beauty of being an academic medical center, there's many graduate level degree programs. I've listed a couple. The MSHA program, the MBA program, there's MPH, a lot of them. And then within the grad school, without going for the additional degree, there's some great certificate programs. I've highlighted 2. One of them is mentoring and leadership. And it was specifically developed for faculty members, if you will, that wanted to learn about mentoring and leadership. Perhaps they were heading up a lab, perhaps they were leading a clinic, but just to give them some good background. The classes alone are really, really good, even if you just take one or two, but you can also, you know, string them together and get a certificate. And then the newest one is a certificate in healthcare leadership that comes out of the School of Health Professions. That is geared towards medical students and residents who want to learn a little bit about management and leadership as they're starting their careers, and also gain a certificate in the process. And then I always put in an incredible plug for the Quality Academy. It's a program that's near and dear to my heart, but the whole there's a master's degree program, there's a mini Quality Academy. And again, I encourage folks to take advantage of that. And then I don't have to tell this group, just from all the different, thank you, Becky, actually right on cue. There are tons of workshops and other programs. I see them come across. CCTS, you know, helps with LEAD, which is additional management and leadership training. There's just a ton of opportunity. It's hard to keep up with all of it. So, you know, if you look at some of those newsletters that come across, you can hear about some of these types of programs and whatnot. So Mitt, you can please go to the next slide, or we'll give it a minute.
So is there a place where these are listed, Jean Ann, in your office, in your office website by chance?
Fabulous question. There is not today, but we are in the process of working with communications to develop a website, so they will be listed.
Yeah.
Hopefully enough of these with the slides, when I send them out to you, there are some embedded links, and most of it is searchable on the UAB website. So, because we check it. So here is the department I told you about, the Organizational Learning and Development Program, again, on the campus side, and it actually gives you their URL to find them. Just a front page as it appeared a while ago, but I mean, I want to learn about my career. I want to improve communications. Down below the line is, I want to learn something about leadership, but these are courses, resources, and once again, we all have access to it. You know, and they have online courses. I think they still also have some face-to-face courses as well. So next slide, please. Yes, okay, this is getting a little bit into LinkedIn Learning. Again, you can access it through Organizational Learning and Development, or you can go directly there through this link. But next slide, please. Again, you can kind of see I'm in here. How do I go into it? I want to log in. Again, I use my Blazer ID. I can learn about LinkedIn Learning if I have questions, but it's an incredible resource. Next slide, please. And I should have a screenshot, if you will. So this is like, I just got into LinkedIn Learning. If you have a burning topic or something you want to learn about, you literally put it where the bright red arrow tells you. And at first it can be a little overwhelming because there are lots of resources. So if I say, I want to, you know, learn Zoom a little bit better, or find out how to keep it from blowing up my computer, I can type that search in and it literally comes back with YouTube videos, it comes back with articles, it comes back with classes and other resources, and they're very well sourced. So you'll see a lot of content from Harvard Business Review, you'll see content from the Center for Creative Leadership. So there's good resources there. So next slide, please. Great. I have two other things, and Becky, forgive me, you know, this not to be confused with the CCTS LEAD. One of the things I was recently asked to do, and these are two pilot programs, but I want to plant these seeds with you. We put together a program also called LEAD, but it's for mid-level faculty, and then one called SAIL, which is for junior female faculty. We are doing the February sessions next week, but we started out, there's small groups of 8 to 10. And it's very discussion oriented. I almost call it peer group mentoring. There's a facilitator, but we take a topic, we present the idea, and we really talk about it in terms of practicality. How does it relate? For example, for the junior female faculty, we had a whole session on women rising, women's visions and strength, and really talked about how can we, you know, harness what we're already really good at, perhaps, or the way we've been socialized, and use that. January, we literally created vision boards because that's what the group wanted to do. We're going to have a session on career anchors, but just literally a lot of topics. But again, the emphasis is on making it real, having people really discuss it and apply it to their situation. So next slide. Okay, now this is the reason you invited me. And some of these momentum pictures you'll see in a minute is why this slide deck is so big. So momentum.
Really, so everybody understands. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when I read about momentum in one of our emails, I realized that there's a limit as to how many people can participate. But
Yes.
what I wanted you to do, which you're doing, is to show that that's not the only opportunity. So if somebody in this audience says, well, I've tried to get into momentum, but I couldn't, or the time doesn't work for me, look at all the other things there are.
Well, and I would add to that, Marissa, thank you for jumping in too. We are trying to create more space for women at UAB. So
Right.
we're trying to pull that apart, and we're doing our darndest. So when I got here in 2016, and I was actually in class 16, they had been going for, now they've been going for 20 years. So they've been going quite a while when I got involved. And I was very intrigued with the program. I've lived in a couple of other major markets. And it was an interesting and unique program. It served, at that time, senior executive women. And exactly what Marissa's saying, which is what frustrated me, is they could only take 1 or 2 women for one organization. And I'm looking around UAB going, look, I haven't been here long, but there are amazing women at all levels. And, Jean Ann is going to be long gone by the time, even a tiny portion of these people have access.
Right.
So one of our challenges, and one of the things we're piloting this year, is a way to really allow more access. So Mitt, you can see if we can advance to the next slide. So I'm going to touch on some of their programs as well as our program. So next slide, please. You can tell these are April's. Okay. The Executive Leadership Program, which I just told you about. And again, it's, 1, if you're lucky, 2 people from every organization. They select anywhere from 25 to 26. So again, not a lot of people. And I was surprised when I even got here at, women that just simply hadn't ever had an opportunity. So that was thing 1. So I started to think about, okay, this is a great program. I experienced it. And it's quite unique. And if any of you on this call have found some others, please send me an email. I did some initial research when I was, applying to be in the program, to decide if I wanted to be in the program. And I found in Chicago and Indianapolis, they had something that was similar to Momentum, but it was more of an emphasis on just networking and not the curriculum. Whereas this, you get the networking, but you also get that curriculum. So I think that was interesting to me. Also, the bonds that we seem to form in our cohorts and our mentoring groups are a lot stronger than what I had experienced in other places. I mean, when I was in Detroit, I was part of, a couple of leadership groups, got into them, got on the board, but this is very unique. It was also unique that it was specifically for women. So next slide, please. And I think we can go pretty quickly through them. Okay, yeah, here's some of their marketing stuff. It's very competitive, blah, 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 blah. And for those of you that can look quickly at FACES, we managed to get 2 people from UAB in that year. One of them is Dr. Elizabeth Turnipseed, and I think we kind of pretended that, oh yeah, we kind of know each other because we were emphasizing that we worked in different places. So next slide, please. Yeah, another person is talking about how it's wonderful, it's really good. Next slide, please. And again, the emphasis in this program and many, 2 of the major programs we do through the Leadership Development Office is it's an in-depth dive into self-awareness. You're all very, very smart. You can read the books, you can read the articles. We learn the do's and don'ts of, how do we manage people? But at the end of the day, it really comes down for all of us, I think, is self-awareness and being able to manage myself. We start out with who is the hardest person to manage? Well, of course, the answer is, it's me. At the end of the day, I got to read all this stuff, but then I have to bring it into myself, and show up as my best self. So a lot of assessments you're seeing here, this lady's looking at her assessments and the development of personal development plans. And at times it's hard work and it's a little bit painful because we learn stuff about ourselves, but all in the interest of helping us do better and be more successful. Mitt, you can try for the next slide. Okay, yes. there's a 9-month curriculum, and they bring in people literally from they're nationwide speakers. They come in, they spend a day with us, 9 months, one month and 9 months. Now, something that's interesting and actually goes into the Momentum program here, we're really paralleling that. And I think if we hit the next slide, Mitt. Thank you. Yeah, okay, small groups, build closer relationships. We have mentoring groups, which is very, very powerful. So it's in addition to the days together, we meet independently. And the one that we have here at UAB does the same. And I think some of them will tell you that it's worth the price of admission. Next slide, please. Okay, here's where I want to be. So I had this journey, and as Marissa said, there were very few slots to get into Momentum. So I began talking and partnering with senior leaders across the organization. There's a lot of support for it. And we all agreed. And I can remember watching light bulbs go on in senior executives' heads. There's no way the vast majority of our people will be able to participate. So we are in the process of piloting a partnership with the community-based, Birmingham-based Momentum Leaders Group to recreate a parallel process here at UAB. So like a speaker comes in, and you saw a picture of a lady there. She comes in and she arrives on, let's say, a Tuesday night. We meet on Wednesday. She spends a day with Momentum in Medicine at UAB. And then Thursday, she works with the public group. So it's literally a parallel process. And we're doing as much as we can as to really create that experience for our internal folks. I'm adamant, it's not Momentum Light. It's, it's literally the full experience. And these ladies have access to all the networking, all the other services and activities of Momentum as well, which I'll talk about in a second. So Mitt, if you want to try for the next slide. Yeah, so that's that. The other one, and I think we have a couple of women, I just saw an announcement on Birmingham Business Journal. They also created another program, and it gets a little bit confusing. It took me a few months to figure this out, but they created, in addition to the executive program, the Upward program. And you can see it's targeted to emerging leaders with 5 to 10 years of experience. Again, there's a limitation. It's not as big of a limitation, but they still accept only a certain number of people from each company. But we've had quite a few people go through it, and it's only been around, I want to say 3, maybe 4 years at most. But again, that is an opportunity. And when I give you the website of Momentum Leaders, you can check it out. Now, it looks like from the article I just read, they must have just announced a new group, but this group goes for 6 months. So if it's something you're interested in, you can, take a look at it, take a look at the date, see if it's right for you where you're at in your career. Okay, so next slide, please. Yes, okay, again, some more information about how, wonderful Momentum is, and it's great. And I've talked to some women that have gone through the program and found it very, very helpful. And the 6 months made it easier for them to participate. So next slide, please, Mitt. And I mentioned earlier, they have all sorts of community events. Most of them now, this is obviously pre-pandemic, most of them are via Zoom, but it's on a variety of topics. So whatever class you've participated in, Upward, the executive program, it doesn't matter. You're invited to all of the networking events, the workshops, whatnot. So it's really a community. Next slide, please. Okay, I want to stop on this slide for a minute because this is one of the very best kept secrets. And I love the fact that Marissa started out talking about mentoring for your, certainly for your medical students. So this is really awesome. Momentum here in Birmingham, Alabama has a mentor matching program that in my experience is second to none. They have an individual lady, her name happens to be Mindy Santo, and she stands up literally a mentoring matching program. So what does that look like? When you go to the Momentum program, you can literally fill out some information about yourself, what you're wanting from a mentoring relationship. She will match you. Any woman, you don't even have to have had anything to do with Momentum. And an example is I recently finished a mentoring relationship at the end of the last year with a lady that just called up. She was from one of the banks, and she just called up Momentum and said, hey, I want to apply for a mentor. And I literally got a call from Mindy, and they're very conscientious and very thoughtful about how they match people. They do a lot of follow-up, but it's something you can take advantage of right away. There's, no particular, oh, gee, I have to wait for 6 months to sign up. And very good results. And where they get their mentors, which might be a question, who are these people and where do they come from? When any of us go through any of their programs, they challenge us and they say, okay, now, whomever, it's your turn to give back. So they encourage us, they give us a little bit of training, and they encourage us to sign up to be a mentor. And then what I did with my particular most recent mentee, she was a very mature professional. So I said, hey, I think you should sign up to be a mentor as well, because it's also a learning experience. So it's just amazing. And like I said, anybody can sign up, for this program to be if you want to mentor. And you can, give it sorts of parameters, whatever. I want them in my organization. I don't want them in my organization. Whatever you want that to look like. And quite a few people, as you can imagine, at UAB have signed up to be mentors. So great. Next slide, please. Yeah. One other thing they do every 2 years that you might be interested in, they have a 2-day conference every 2 years, and you can see the dates. They're in the middle of March. And again, just incredible speakers, local, national, regional, just incredible high energy. You walk out of every single one of their sessions and it's just like, wow, that speaker was amazing. So that's something that you might want to be interested in too, attending. And, as far as I know, registration is still open. So that's also something you might want to explore on their website. So MIT should be another slide. I think I'm coming to the end. Yes, because I want to give you a chance for Q&A. I guess moving forward, a couple of suggestions, and you know what makes sense for you. Please, 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 if you haven't, check out LinkedIn Learning. It's always good to know where it is and be able to find it before you need it. Also check out organizational learning and development because of the professional and management development they offer. And then the website for Momentum is momentumleaders.org. You can sign up for a mentor. You can learn about the conference. You can learn about, Upward, how do I apply for that? What does that look like? Consider, attending 1 or 2 of the days of the conference in March. So, a couple of opportunities and a couple of questions on the next slide that I always encourage, I encourage everybody, and it's something I do from time to time. Whoops, we skipped it. But always ask yourself when you're trying to figure out what's my next step, what do I want to do, what do I want to learn? First of all, how fulfilled do I feel? Am I learning and growing? Yes or no? And am I headed towards a long-term goal? Kind of what is it that I'm hoping to achieve in the long term? And even if you feel like, well, gosh, Jean Ann, you're totally unrealistic. My situation, I am where I am and I have to be here for different reasons. Always think about what seeds can I plant today that might help me. I can't go off and get a second degree or that certificate that you told me about, but what can I do in the meantime? And then probably the most important questions is what relationships can I build to help me with my vision? And that can be, I want to learn from somebody. That can be, wow, I have this incredible vision. If I can create some relationships and talk to people. Recently, I was just talking to an amazing woman at UAB, and we had these great ideas together, and it's, wow, if we can come together, we could really do some awesome things. So what are those relationships? So leave you with those questions. And then I think we have a last slide, and it might be the Q&A slide. So I kind of challenge yourself. There's opportunities for leadership development. And then I think last but not least is Q&A. If there are any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jean Ann. And I appreciate you leaving time for questions because, because I'm sure each one of us has different things to ask.
Yes.
Also, Lisha and Jessica wanted to say something at the end. So since it's also about a program, maybe we could do that now and then open for questions.
Okay, yeah, because I do see one question in the chat. So
sure.
Do you want me to take that now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, Jody, it's a great question. So she's like, which top skills do you think are most important for women in academia to address or learn? And I seriously, and it sounds simple, but it's not. I always tell people literally, first thing is like emotional intelligence. You think, well, how the heck do I do that? But in particular, work on your self-awareness and your self-regulation. That will help you, because once you do that, you can learn. You can learn more. You can be open to, wow, what is it that I need to learn? What do I need to know? And then I think the other one that sounds really, really boring, but I see it as a potential derailer, is literally good organizational skills. You know, how you manage your time and how you take care of yourself, quite frankly. So I think that would be the ones I would recommend.
Those are great ones.
Great talk, Jean Ann.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nisha, would you like to tell the group the program you're going to talk about? Tell them about. You're muted.
Thank you. Yes, I would. I'm just going to share my screen quickly. The program is offered through the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and it's called Transforming Success. It's offered or it's presented by two psychologists here in Birmingham. Can you see the screen, Your Fulfilling Life?
Yes.
Okay. It's presented by Julie McDonald and Lisa Graham, two psychologists here in Birmingham. They've been offering this program for us since 2016, and hundreds of our faculty have participated in it. Perhaps some of you here have participated in it. But we're offering it beginning in September, and it meets for 3 months, twice a month. So there are 6 live sessions. It's going to be on Thursdays. They offer a morning session and an afternoon session to make it more flexible for your schedules. But you see here the wheel that they have. This is just summarizes the topic for each week. Or for each session. So for session 1, they talk about the myth of the work-life balance, and they present a new paradigm to think about work-life balance that better reflects real life. And then in the second session, Invisible Barriers, this is really looking at psychological barriers that are keeping us or holding us back from moving forward and meeting our goals in our life. The third session, Change What You Can, to help you analyze what kind of obstacles you face that you can change, and what are things that you have to accept that you do not have the power to change, but you don't let those get in your way. Then Honor Your Personal Bandwidth, looking at what your resources are, what your limitations are, and how to make that work for you. Flourishing Through Your Strengths. So instead of looking at weaknesses, look at what our strengths are. How can we capitalize on that? How can we get more enjoyment through utilizing our strengths? And then the final session on enhancing personal power. So I think Jessica is going to put a link for you in the chat box that will allow you to get a little more information about the program. Again, it's for all women. Our Office for Diversity and Inclusion will pay for 50% of the tuition, and the department pays the other 50%. So it is all paid for you. Yeah, so I hope you will take a look at it. If you have questions, let our office know. We'll be happy to help you with it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also thought it would be good to do it now than at the end, because some people have to leave already. Some had to go to the next activity. Any other questions? Even though this is the American Medical Women's Association, we've always tried to include all women in the campus, and everyone is welcome. I did see some like Christina and Kimberly have written about the PhD women. Does anybody want to make any specific comments about that, Jean Ann, or anyone else about the PhD, our PhD colleagues in their journey or opportunities or?
Well, I'm trying to, and please help me out, anybody on the call. I'm trying to go back to the particular question from, I think it was from Christina.
Yeah, Christina.
I think originally that mentoring and leadership certificate, I think it was originally developed and intended for PhDs. And then what happened is they publicized it. They got PhDs, they got MDs, they got everybody because there's such a need for it. So I think that's certainly open. Certainly any of the momentum programs and whatnot, you are not precluded from that. So any of them, I mean, you know, you're welcome to apply and investigate those programs as well. So you're certainly welcome to do that. Now, in the work that I do on the school side with chairs and whatnot, we do some work with basic science chairs as well. And, you know, as well as some faculty retreats. So at least there's a tasting of it. If you have a specific question, Christina, if you're saying, Jean Ann, this is not what I'm asking, literally, please feel free to reach out because it might be something specific that you're needing. And I find in development, one size does not fit all. You know, we're all on a particular journey and you need what helps you best.
Can I comment on that, Jean? I really, Jean Ann, I really appreciate you coming back to this. So I think it is absolutely wonderful that there are now so many opportunities to move forward. I think the problem is maybe for somebody like me who's on a mid-level associate professor, that there was nothing to support us effectively until we get to this point here. And it's really difficult to take advantage of these senior leadership development opportunities if you haven't already, you know, shown that you have built these leadership skills. And I applied about 2 years ago for a program, and I'm sorry, I cannot remember exactly what it was called. And I was so excited about it. And I thought this would really be, you know, just the best timing for me. I had just been promoted to associate professor at the time. And then it was like, no, sorry, you know, and it was, the store closed and it was like, I felt it was like slammed in my face. And that was that. And you know, this opportunity never came back. And I think there are other PhD faculty with women in particular in the Department of Medicine who have experienced that. Now you could say, well, it's the Department of Medicine, and of course they focus on the MDs, and I totally understand that. But I think also that the PhD faculty have something to contribute and have a different perspective to contribute. And you know, we are faced with a lot of leadership difficulties in our daily life if you work in research that are maybe somewhat different. And I just would like to encourage not to overlook this, and for the generations that come up after us to have this opportunity, since I feel I have already kind of lost out and maybe have just kind of given up because it was so hard.
Yeah. Well, I am sorry you've had that experience, and a couple of comments too, because one of the gaps that I have found in all those wonderful opportunities that I gave to you, all of those programs, every single one of them, except maybe LinkedIn Learning, they take a limited number of people. So we may have a wonderful program, but it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't always necessarily meet the demand. And unfortunately, I think that's what you hit. Now, to give you a little bit of hope, Christina, so I mentioned I'm piloting a mid-level faculty development program, and it's specifically for that reason. Right now it's tiny. We're trying to make sure that it's valuable and this is what we need. The other thing that's going on is, and it's specifically more for P&T, but Dr. Anupam Agarwal is putting together a session to really help mid-level faculty. Mine is more on, self-development, professional development, management development, but I think in combination with the program that he's just launched, and I think it's starting up soon, I think we'll start meeting a need. And what we're also trying to do, and my mantra is, we've got to make it scalable. I mean, it's frustrating to me when I do a pilot and Mitt knows this, okay, we're only going to take 8 or 10 because we're piloting it and there's a pandemic and whatnot. But when you see the need in the people that just reach out, we need to get these things scalable so we can make them available to people and we can serve the need. So there's a little bit of hope.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that, because if it's not scalable, then it's a situation where when people apply to the programs, it's kind of like the rich or that get richer.
Yeah.
If you already have credentials, you move on, and the others never
Yes.
get a chance, and you get left behind.
And actually, the reason we put together the female faculty program, and as well as the program that we're doing for mid-level faculty, we're keeping it what I say affordable. Because if you had thousands of dollars to spend to go off and do something, you'd have done that. But the vast majority of us, we just don't have that kind of a budget for professional development. So we're trying to also make it affordable, make it scalable, and make it sustainable. So that's our goal. And we've got, like I said, a couple of pilots. So stay tuned. And if you don't hear anything in a while, send me a note. Please do. I do have no problem speaking with people one-on-one, because when you're talking about your career, we have some commonalities, but we also have some unique challenges, and I'm happy to talk to you about it.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Did we have other questions? Not seeing any other chat, and we've got like 9 minutes. Okay, that was Christina, but we answered hers. Are there any questions in the last 9 minutes?
I don't see in the chat.
Okay, and what we'll do, Marissa, is I do have a PDF of this, so it won't blow up people's computers. We'll send a PDF out as well, so at least you can, you can explore some of these options, because I recognize this was a flyover. I also appreciate everybody for bearing with Mitzi and I and our Zoom challenges. So
we all understand. Thank you so much. Yeah, Jessica will put them in the website, and also she recorded and people can listen, which has been an amazing feature, because not everybody can join. There are many other conferences at this time, but we did find that this is one of the best times, and we're keeping it. So
well, good.
So this was exactly what we wanted, a conversation with opportunities, and make people aware of how many options there are, and that you're willing to help each one of us with our specific needs.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
The PDF in the chat.
Oh, okay. Oh, thanks, Mitt. All right, we're on it.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
You've got it.
Yes, thank you so much, Jean Ann.
All right, thank you all very much as well, and good luck. Stay in touch. Please check out some of the resources, get a mentor through Momentum, if nothing else. So, and good luck to all of you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.